does directly affect you.
It
But
does.
before we get to that, I just want to shout out Bear Dynamics, who supply the microphones that we use for this show. So special thanks goes out to them. But anyways, today on this episode, we're going to be talking about Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire. Uh, Hold on. Whoops, that was bad. Didn't have my browser muted. We have Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. We have some news about some video game adaptations. We have some exclusives with that. But before we get into that, obviously, like there's stuff's been going on, but it's nothing like too
It's
huge.
not too
It's not
big.
like
It's not huge. No,
it
it's fine.
doesn't like it isn't gonna affect the entire industry or anything like that.
No, it's
But
not like publicists and managers and agents and journalists have been like scrambling for the last couple of hours or anything. Nothing like
oh
that.
yeah, no, it's not like your Twitter feed isn't just completely overrun with promotion that they've been trying to cram into the last, 10 hours or anything like that. But
Yeah, no.
in case you hadn't noticed, maybe you hadn't picked up, but the strike is over.
The strike is over. The gag has been removed.
Yay! So yes, SAG-AFTRA did reach a tentative deal with the AMPTP yesterday at around about 5 p.m. Pacific, and yeah, it's looking like it's going to be pretty good. We don't have very many details at all outside of SAG-AFTRA's official statement, where they just kind of basically gave us a blanket idea of what is included in there. But it seems like it is probably a pretty good thing. And I mean, we get back to having new movies coming out, so that's a good thing regardless. But Maggie, how are you feeling about this? Because you are actually a SAG member,
I
so this
am.
it directly affects you.
Yes, I cried a little bit last night when I checked my phone and I saw the news starting to disseminate. And then I was like cautiously optimistic. I was like, okay, it definitely seems like it's happening because we had like kind of a quote confirmation in some of the Hollywood Reporter article and stuff from SAG. But then at about 9 p.m., we got the official email. All the membership got it. It's still very vague. We don't know all the details yet. We don't have the contract, but I will say I was watching CNN this morning and Duncan Crabtree came on and was talking about this deal, and they did ask him if there was anything that had changed between that best and final offer and then what they approved last night. And it does sound like AI was a big part of things that changed between those two deals. So that was kind of one of my biggest kind of hesitations and fears and worries. So it does sound like this is definitely an improved version of that best and final offer. And they're calling it historic. So I'm feeling really positive about it, but I do still obviously want to read it for myself. I am looking forward to that once the national board approves and reviews it and then sends it to all of us. But it is so nice to finally be able to unleash my drafts on the world of all of my opinions I have held inside of me for the last 118 days. I am a talker, and being told that I can't talk and I can't tweet and I just have to let my thoughts stew inside of my head has killed me.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and I opened up Twitter because I was like, I knew that as soon as I opened up Twitter, it was just gonna be just a wall of stuff, and immediately at the top of my timeline, there were like 4 tweets from you.
Yeah. As soon as I woke up this morning, I was like, time to start unleashing things.
It was
So,
like statements about like Andor and
mhm.
Ahsoka and like all kinds of stuff, and
Oh
I was
yeah,
just like,
Oppenheimer, Saltburn. I was like, I'm so ready to unleash my thoughts.
she's dropping everything that she's been holding back for the last 118 days, which I mean I can't blame you at all. Like that is that it has been really difficult,
Hmm.
uh exceptionally difficult. I know that we work in entertainment journalism, so there is like some carve outs for people like us as far as what is
Hmm.
acceptable and not, but still it's a very fine line that we've had to walk, and you even more so.
Oh yeah.
um
Now I can
so
even post all the cool stuff that I've been sent during the strike. So many movies and TV shows that still sent me stuff, and obviously I'm like, well, this is nice. I can't post that because it's like that's promotion. So it's very exciting to be back on track and be able to talk about stuff. And it's also just so fun to see a lot of people who like their first projects came out during the strike or are getting ready to come out, and they're able to finally talk about it and share photos. And it's just a really great time to see like the excitement about our industry and what, you know, collectively we've been able to endure for 118 days, which is just insane.
Yeah, I know that I saw the weekend that Five Nights at Freddy's came out. I saw a bunch of TikToks from like cast members who were just like, so there's this thing that I can't talk about that I really want to talk about, but just know that I'm like appreciative of this thing that I can't talk about. And like seeing Matthew Lillard very clearly want to get into it, but he just can't. So instead he starts plugging his whiskey or whatever
Yeah.
it is that he has. It was humorous and at the same time also a little bit painful. I felt for him, but now all of those people can start singing all about that film and any other films that they have, both past and present. So
Yeah.
it's an exciting time for everyone. It's an exciting time for us because our job is going to return to normal.
Yeah.
We're in a very unique position where this strike has actively affected our day-to-day life.
Yeah.
So I am so stoked to be back into it. We can get some cool interviews in the pipeline. Also, that coffee mug threw me off for a second. I had to read it and my brain short circuited. But yeah, so SAG strike, it is actually technically, if you want to get technical, it's not necessarily over, it's suspended because it's not actually over until
We vote
everything is ratified.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it's usually a foregone conclusion, and the actual strike portion is over, so we can be talking and everything like that. But it's just if you want to get into the legal wording of everything, you could be super nitpicky. But the important thing is that we're getting back to some sense of normalcy, as much as things are normal these days.
And right in time for the holidays. So they're going to start filming, and then immediately they have the Thanksgiving holiday, and then they'll film a couple more days, and then we've got Christmas, and then everyone will come back mid-January. So it couldn't have been in kind of a better time, because now people can go into the holidays knowing that they have gainful employment again. And I obviously have to say that this doesn't just affect the Screen Actors Guild. This is the entirety of IATSE. This is all of the other guilds. And I'm hoping that our contract is something that protects not only us, but everyone, because something that a lot of people neglected in the conversations around both strikes is that if you lose actors, if actors are replaced by AI, you lose every department that interacts with the actors. You're losing the transpo guys that drive you to and from set. You're losing all of the, HMU people who work in our hair and makeup. You're losing so many costumers. You're losing lighting, because if you're doing stuff in AI, you may be using digital sets. You're losing the set department. You're losing props. You're losing crafty. You're losing PAs that will never get enough credits to move up to becoming directors. And so it really has a lot of, a weight and danger for, what the industry could have become, because a lot of people start at those lower levels in all of those departments and then move up to become, Oscar nominated, Oscar winning, people for each of those departments. So, I mean, this was, a turning point for the entire industry, not just for actors, and certainly not for just A-listers. I'm certainly not an A-list person. And, if I ever go back to acting, I want to make sure that I have those protections in place that, we fought for.
Oh, come on, Maggie. We know that you are the true star of Wonder Woman 1984.
Oh, yes. We can finally remind people that, yes, I worked on Wonder Woman 1984, everyone's favorite superhero movie.
They really should have titled that movie Girl Running in the Background 1984.
Yes, the blonde blur.
Yeah. That's what that movie, because we all know that is the true plot, is what is happening with her. Why
is this girl in the background of every shot?
But yes, it is incredibly a potentially monumental moment in history. Obviously, we can't we can't speak to how much of an impact this is going to have because it's literally still happening. So like,
Yeah.
we don't have hindsight or any sort of historical context for it, but it is something that, knowing what I know about how production works, it is going to affect every level of this industry for years to come. And it is worth noting that next year there are a few other guilds who are coming up for their contract renegotiations.
This is true.
So while they aren't necessarily as big as SAG-AFTRA or WGA, they are still important parts of the process. You have, like, I believe the Animation Guild.
Hmm. And you also
And
have people like VFX workers who voted
yeah,
to unionize. And as I think a lot of actors have been, posting on social media, it's one union, so it's one you. It's we're all united and stronger together.
yeah, because I believe SAG actually, in their statement, they specifically said thank you to all of the other guilds who supported us during this. When you guys need us, we'll be there.
Yep.
Which, as you pointed out, everybody's job affects everybody else, so it is important for everyone to stand together like that.
Absolutely.
So, but moving away from strike news, we can talk about a movie that now the main cast can talk about, which is nice because yesterday we got a trailer for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and I thought the timing was brilliant because they released this trailer and then literally that same day the strike is over. So like, all of those cast members and everyone involved don't have to really hold off on talking about it. They had to hold off for like 12 hours. Like, that was all that they had to do.
Super easy, yeah.
But yeah, so we got this trailer. It looks really, really intense.
It looks really
actually
good. I'm really
like
excited.
I love Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Me
like
too.
a lot. Ghostbusters 2016, not so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
we aren't going to get into that. But so a follow up to Afterlife, we kind of like, we've known it's been coming for quite a while. So like, but still, I was super excited to see it. Super excited to see the cast. Super excited to see the characters and where they're kind of continuing. Stoked to see them back in New York at the actual the station. And as I said, it looks intense. It looks like it's a little bit more serious than Ghostbusters has been, because they're like facing a like world-ending event, like even more so than some of the previous ones. Like, the world is freezing and people are just dying.
Yeah.
It looks crazy. It looks nuts.
Crazy.
Are you excited at all for this?
Yeah, I mean, I love the Ghostbusters. It's been one of my favorite franchises for basically as long as I've been alive. And I loved Afterlife so much. I got to see that at New York Comic Con when they did that surprise screening, and Jason was there and some of the cast, and that was really fun. And that was just a great experience too, to be in like this hall full of fans that were just so excited to see it and see all of those like surprises and twists and turns. And I was happy that they were really quick to confirm that they were going to do a follow-up, because they obviously set it up to do a follow-up, and it just feels like the original Ghostbusters in such a fun, great way. And the young cast is great, and also like Paul Rudd. I mean, of course I'm gonna watch Paul Rudd.
I'm not gonna lie, when I learned that they were moving the series back to New York, I was a little nervous that Paul Rudd wasn't going to come with, because his character, being like a teacher in that small town, I kind of half expected him to like stay there, and it'd be like, oh well, the kids, are there, but not necessarily him. But no, he's there, which is fantastic. I'm going to assume that his relationship with the mother has progressed enough that him moving with them kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Did they get married? Or they just, decided to move in together and then move across the country? Like, I want to know.
Yeah, there's a lot to this, but I will say I have seen some fan concerns on Twitter about this, and they're the concerns that come up every time there's a sequel to a legacy property, where a lot of people are worried that it's going to like retread a little bit too much on previous projects. I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, they're going to hold the old cast up. Excuse me. They're going to hold the old cast up as they like remember this kind of thing and put a lot of weight on them. But it seems like, based off the trailer, that there's the emphasis is still on the kids. It's still on the
Yeah.
Spengler family. Um,
Well, that's what I liked about Afterlife. Like, obviously, coming right off the heels of something like The Rise of Skywalker. Oh, yes, I can talk about these things more specifically now. Coming off the things like The Rise of Skywalker, I really appreciated that even when they brought back some of like the original cast for Afterlife, it didn't overshadow the kids. The kids still got to be the ones that saved the day. And so I'm not too afraid that they're going to ruin that kind of like legacy they've already set for themselves, because it seems like the kids are the new Ghostbusters.
that being said,
Help.
we do know that the at least a few of the old cast members do have more prominent roles this time around. Last time, something like Dan Aykroyd's appearance was just barely a step above a cameo.
Yeah.
He had like that scene where he was speaking on the phone with the kid, and then obviously at the end they all showed up. But this one, it very much seems like it's going to be like they're almost like training the kids, which is, I think, honestly, I'm excited for that just because that's like retreading a plot premise from a cartoon, back during the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s.
I love that cartoon so much. Yes.
Which I'm just like, hey, you know what? If you're gonna revisit something from the past of the franchise, and borrow it wholesale, it might as well be that.
Yeah.
So,
it was funny. Some of the fan reactions I saw yesterday were people saying that it seemed like it was still too much for kids. And I was like, you mean like the kids cartoon that we all watched growing up, or like all of the kids toys that, was spawned from that? Like, yeah, the original movies were like more of like a PG-13 pseudo adult story, because there's obviously a lot of content that would not fly in modern times, unfortunately. But it's still very much a story that's like for families, not just adults. So.
Yeah, I grew up watching those things. Like my brother watched the original Ghostbusters so much when I was like an infant that he wore the tape out. Like that.
The good old days. Yeah.
Yes, because so kids, a little bit of a history lesson. Back in the day, we used to store movies on these things called VHS tapes. They were effectively like a plastic shell around a magnetic tape.
Be kind.
You put it into this device and it read it. It wasn't a disc. It wasn't like that thing. It was a whole thing.
They don't even know about discs. They just stream everything now.
Some Gen Alpha streams everything. At least Gen Z knows about discs because they, physical media is not entirely dead yet.
That's true. Yet. And on that thrilling note.
Anyways, video game adaptations. Moving on into our third topic for today, we have some exclusive information about Gears of War and Bioshock, which is pretty exciting. Remember in our episode, was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday, where we were talking about some exclusives that we got from an interview that Steve Weintraub did with Scott Stuber. Well, we have further information. As I said, we were going to be releasing stuff throughout the week, so here's some more for you. So yes, we have the Gears of War adaptation, which has been 7 years in the making. That is nuts. Honestly, doesn't surprise me that it's taken that long, though, because Gears of War is an incredibly ambitious story, so getting that off the ground, I totally understand it. But the film has apparently tapped Dune writer John Spates? Yes. I've only ever seen his name written, so trying to say it out loud is something. He's penning the screenplay, and he's working with Batista on it, which is great. I mean, he's not actively working with Batista, but Batista, and you know what I mean.
Yep.
So we have a quote about this. I'm just going to read this off. I was a producer on Gears of War, I was a producer on it when I was a producer, so to bring it in full circle has been great to me to get back together with the guys at Microsoft. So those are two really big ones I feel aspirationally. There are huge audiences, as you know. That kind of medium, they don't translate always. And historically, as an industry, we've screwed it up quite a bit. But both of those have really rich worlds, have really good characters, so they're naturally kind of transitions to screen and filmmaking. He's referring to, of course, video game films in general, which, yeah, historically, video game movies have not been super. It's only been over the last few years. We've talked about this in the past on previous episodes. How it's only been recently that video game movies have started being like legitimately good. They've always kind of been good for a laugh, but now they're starting to be like actual cinematic experiences that are worth watching. And that quote was also referring to both Bioshock and Gears of War. Because, yes, we are getting a Bioshock adaptation. We've known that for a while, but the big thing to know with this is that it is still at the screenwriting phase and it is in the works. Maggie, these are two properties that I would not be surprised if you weren't too super keen on. You don't strike me as a Gears of War girly.
No, I'm not a Gears of War girly, and I think we talked about Bioshock before, where I'm like aware of it, but not. It's never been something that I played. It kind of came out in that period of time where I stopped being a video game player. But I maintain the same statement I've been consistent about when we've talked about the plethora of video game adaptations in the works. I'm excited for video gamers to get to enjoy their favorite stories in a different medium, and see how they bring them into a different audience, because like these are things I'll definitely watch. Like I watched the Halo show. I'd never played Halo. I was aware of it. I watched it because it made me curious to know more about it.
I've got opinions about that.
Yeah, I know everybody has opinions about it. As somebody who went in completely blind, I was like, oh, this is a decent show. It was fun action.
Huge lifelong Halo fan. I've got opinions about the Halo show.
Well, hopefully we'll have opportunity to talk about that in the future as well once they get to do their second season.
Are they doing a second season? Mm-hmm. I thought that they had scrapped that.
No, I think they're still doing it.
But yeah, so video game adaptations, we've got a bunch of them coming. And one thing that we didn't get to talk about, some big news in the video game adaptation space that I'm just going to toss in here as kind of like a bonus topic. Here you go, you can have this. Is the Legend of Zelda movie that we have found out is in the works. We had been kind of hearing that it seemed like they wanted to do it. But just the actual official confirmation from Nintendo and a little bit of information about what's going to be going on with that. That is one that I could see probably a lot more people excited for than anything else.
I definitely think that broke the internet the other night when that news dropped.
It definitely did. It was very unfortunate that we did not speak of that. But here we are now. So Nintendo fans, here's your information about that. I'm gonna throw this out there. I'm not the biggest Legend of Zelda fan. I played through several of them. I'm not a Nintendo guy. As if the wall behind me doesn't surprise you. I mean, my Switch collection is down there at the bottom. Like, so you can see that I'm not necessarily the biggest Nintendo fan. But I am excited for those of you out there who are excited.
Same.
But with that, we're going to end today's show. That is everything that we have to talk about. But now I want to hear from you. What is your feelings about the end of the strike? Are you excited? Are you cautiously optimistic, waiting to hear the actual terms of the deal before you celebrate? Be sure to let us know however you feel about it in either the comments underneath the video, or you can find us on Twitter or any of the other places that we are out there on the internet. So jump over there and let us know. Also, you may have noticed that I am a little bit of a little fuzzy wuzzy this month, and I'm going to continue to be fuzzy wuzzy. So I think I've broke Maggie. Oh my!
As you can see, I am also growing out my beard for No Shave November.
I feel a little inadequate next to you right now, Maggie. But anyways, yes, No Shave November. I am partaking in it because I care quite deeply about it. And about raising awareness for prostate cancer. So I'm going to put a link beneath the VOD of this video for the American Cancer Society. Jump over there, donate if you can. If you can't, just spread the word. Let's help rid the world of the scourge that is cancer in all forms, not just prostate, but all of them. So yeah, this is a very personal thing for me, and I'm going to be squawking about it all month. So get ready to hear a lot about it. But anyways, tomorrow is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's Perry and Maggie.
It is. It's going to be Ladies' Day.
For the first time ever, we have Perry and Maggie together, and they're going to be talking about stuff. So you'll see Maggie tomorrow. You'll see me next week. So I hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend. And until next time.